Welcome to another fresh session of Agency Blueprint, folks. A couple of classes back, we dived deep into the world of LinkedIn, setting the stage on how you should curate your profile. I walked you through crafting a profile so smooth and compelling, it almost speaks volumes on your behalf, attracting connections and letting you smoothly slide into their network, all while you bring value to their table. Back in our last session, I laid out the playbook on linking up with these individuals, breaking down the art of sparking interest and pulling in the crowd to what you're putting out there. We talked about strategies for expanding your network, and that's exactly what we're diving deeper into in today's lecture. Today, I've got something real special on deck for you. Now, don't get me wrong, every single step of this journey has its own flavor of excitement, but today's topic, it's on another level. We're about to channel all that traffic, all those connections you've been hustling to build up and put them to work. We're about to make a major play, transforming those connections into meetings. Yeah, I'm talking about sales calls. Sales calls that we are set to close and convert into clients. All right, let's break down what's on the agenda for today. First up, we've got the rules of outreach. Gotta keep things smooth and strategic. Next, we're tackling LinkedIn approaches, the ins and outs of making your move. Cast your minds back 2 sessions ago and recall that pinup I urged y'all to download and, if possible, print out. It laid out the various elements of the sales process we're navigating through. We've been on this journey, discussing prospecting, diving into the details of approaching, and touching on cultivation. In this particular module, we're zoning in on approaching, and we're going to explore content cultivation. I'm here to guide you on how to nurture these relationships with content that doesn't just engage, but converts. And to wrap things up, I've got a revenue-generating workflow ready for you. Now, let's dive into Voss's rules of outreach. Rule number 1, don't rush in asking for marriage. Look at these sales calls, these demo calls, as if they're the first date. You wouldn't bring up marriage on a first date, right? So, in the same vibe, don't jump the gun talking about working together just yet. What we're doing here is showcasing the worth of a demo call, a sales call, and nothing more. Remember, we're not pitching our service at this stage. We've got to keep it cool and avoid going on a long spiel about our services and the nitty-gritty of how they operate. I'm about to lay down a real-life example for you, a sneak peek into a sales conversation that seamlessly transitioned into a deal. This particular conversation blossomed into a $1 million deal. And trust, this isn't a one-off. I've got hundreds of examples just like this. You'll notice the strategy I employ to steer them towards a call, and you'll see I don't spend much time talking about my service. And why is that? Because at this stage, they're not invested enough to care about the specifics of what I offer. Keep your eyes on the prize, and that means concentrating on pitching the sheer value of a value-driven call, a potential game changer for them. By the way, we'll delve deeper into this during our bonus module, where I'm going to hand over a sales script to you, a winning formula, and yet another highlight of this program. It's all about them. Our goal is to minimize friction and make this opportunity irresistibly beneficial for them. Don't aim for a win-win at this stage. Focus on providing a massive win for them, creating an offer they simply can't turn down. Next on the agenda, come hell or high water. Make it your daily mission to get that prospecting work in, no excuses. And while you're at it, keep your ears to the ground and pay attention to the feedback coming from your prospects. It's crucial, absolutely crucial, to stay on your toes and continuously refine your approach based on what you're hearing. You've got to keep a sharp eye on the game. Recognize the plays that are scoring you points and those that just aren't cutting it. Amplify what's bringing in results and cut loose what's holding you back. That's the real secret to rapid progress over time. And one last thing, don't get stuck dwelling on the past. Keep moving forward. Maintain a level head and make sure to check your emotions at the door. It's paramount that you don't let your feelings dictate the game. A no doesn't define you. It doesn't speak to your worth. Brace yourself because rejection is part of the journey, and you're going to face your fair share of it. You'll catch some wins and hear yes along the way too. But remember, you're out here doing things that push you out of your comfort zone, things 99.9% of people wouldn't dare to try. So yes, rejections are part of the package. Keep your head up and stay the course. Some of those rejections might hit you harder than others, but you've got to keep your cool and stay locked in on the task at hand. Remember, those no's aren't a reflection of your worth. Take each rejection as a learning experience. Don't brush them all off, although some you might have to, acknowledging that sometimes people are just having an off day. It's key to analyze the situations too. You might run into scenarios where someone is projecting their bad day onto you, and that's more about them than it is about you. They might be in a bad mood and, unfortunately, take it out on others. However, when you receive genuine constructive feedback, that's gold. Take it, weigh it, and use it to refine your approach and strategies. Keep pushing forward. So that wraps up our discussion on outreach. Now, let's shift gears and talk about LinkedIn approaching. I've put together a comprehensive worksheet to assist you on this front, and you can download it right below this video. Trust me, there's some incredibly potent material in there. Let's dive into the LinkedIn approaching guide. Having tackled prospecting on LinkedIn, it's now time to make your move and approach these potential connections. But before diving in, keep this in mind. We're not pitching our services or the prospect of working together just yet. Our focus? Pitching the unbeatable value of the strategy call, making it as seamless and irresistible as possible when the opportunity naturally arises in conversation. This worksheet is here to guide you through that process. In this guide, I'm going to take you step by step through the exact process of how to approach these prospects. First things first, the golden rule to success: diagnose before you prescribe. We're not diving straight into the sales pitch right off the bat. First, we take the time to understand the situation, then we make our pitch. Moving forward, your approach should have the feel of a casual chat. Think about it. How do conversations with friends usually go? I can assure you, they don't resemble large, copy-pasted paragraphs filled with hard selling right from the start. Yet, that's the trap many agency owners fall into. They'll send a message starting with, "Hey," and then immediately follow it up with a massive paragraph, trying to sell the prospect on a call the moment they connect on LinkedIn. And mind you, not even selling them on a value-driven call. Let's be real, you're not likely to win many people over with that approach. Instead, think about what a conversation with a friend actually looks like, because that's exactly what most insiders miss. Conversations with friends typically consist of short text bubbles, sprinkled with genuine empathy. They aren't massive blocks of text, they're more bite-sized and interactive. You build upon the responses of the person you're speaking to. It's not a one-sided affair where you bombard your friend with a huge paragraph, wait for their reply, and then maybe throw another question at them. It's supposed to flow naturally, like a real conversation. And that, my friends, is exactly what we're aiming for. We want to make it a genuine, back-and-forth interaction. We're going to turn this interaction into a genuine conversation. Our aim is to make it seem as though they're chatting with a friend, keeping it as authentic as possible. While we do have a clear agenda, we're not here to waste time or beat around the bush. But it's crucial that we make it appear effortless and natural. Otherwise, the prospect will see right through it and back away. So let's talk about structuring the conversation. The first step? Sending a connection note. I've mentioned before, and I'll say it again. I strongly recommend adding a personalized note when you're reaching out to connect on LinkedIn. Once you've established that connection, start the conversation by giving them props on their business accomplishments and demonstrating your own expertise in the space. Show them you've done your homework and you're not just another random connection. We delved into this topic during our last session together. Moving on to the second step, it's vital that we grasp the current state of their business. Your primary objective now should be to dig deeper, understand their business situation, and really get a feel for how things are going on their end. For step 3, our focus shifts to understanding their aspirations and goals. Now it's time to get a sense of where they're aiming to take their business. This could relate to a revenue target, acquiring new customers, launching a new product, or other significant milestones. Additionally, you want to explore what they believe needs to happen in order to propel their business to the next level. This step is all about uncovering their vision for the future and the hurdles they perceive in reaching that destination. Dive deeper into their mindset by asking them what actions they think are necessary to achieve their goals, or identify the primary roadblocks currently standing in their way. Once we have a comprehensive understanding of their situation and we spot the right opportunity, that's our cue to make a move and present our pitch. The goal is to transition smoothly into showcasing how we can add value and assist them in overcoming their challenges to reach their desired outcomes. Now, the objective is to communicate to them that you and your team are enthusiastic about the opportunity to bring them clarity, offer a strategic plan of action to propel them forward, and evaluate how you could be of assistance. Instead of pitching your services directly, what you want to do is pitch the call, the strategy call, making it as compelling and valuable as possible in their eyes. I'm about to share an example of how an approaching conversation should ideally unfold. Pay close attention because we're doing this the right way, which means engaging in a genuine, authentic dialogue with these individuals. Understand that while each conversation will have its unique twists and turns, I'm here to arm you with the core principles and foundational structure. By grasping these essentials, you'll be well equipped to tailor your approach to suit a variety of scenarios, ensuring your interactions remain consistently effective across the board. So, fundamentally, we're talking about these different places, understanding their present situation, catching their vibe, where they're aiming to be, and then suggesting we hop on a call, right? To shed some light on their path, bring some clarity to their journey. I'm about to break down a genuine conversation for you, walk you through the whole thing, and I've laid it out in words here, making it smooth for you to grasp. So for instance, I've got mad respect for the work you're putting in at X, especially when it comes to men's health. Elevating awareness on issues like these? That's major. I've been speaking on it too, touching on some of the subtleties, and while I'm not saying men's health is my sole focus, you get where I'm coming from. Mental health? Yeah, I've been in that space too at one point in time. But look, feel free to choose any niche, they all got potential. The real deal, though, is about amplifying awareness on issues like these. It's crucial. Connecting with folks who radiate positivity and share a similar mindset, that's always a vibe. I genuinely appreciate the chance to connect and witness your journey unfold. Alright, so that's my message laid out for you. But listen, I've got to stress this, and I've mentioned it in the program too. It ain't just about copy-pasting. That's crucial. If you just go down that route, trust me, you're setting yourself up to get exposed. If you take that path, it's not going to hit the same, it won't be as effective. Remember that. So keeping the prospect engaged is key. Now check this, the prospect actually hit me back. And you'll see, a lot of them might not respond to messages, but trust, a good number of prospects will. If they leave you on read, don't even sweat it. You just circle back and drop them another text. So you could bring up something from their latest post, Hit them with a, "Hey, I'm really feeling what y'all are putting out there with that campaign," or "I'm all about the new initiatives you're rolling with." I believe it's a clever move, for real. Initiating a conversation like that, you can smoothly transition into a deeper discussion about their initiatives, gauge their current state, figure out their goals, and it's all about following that consistent structure, every single time. The prospect hit me back saying, "Hey, hi, thanks for the kind words, much appreciated." And I kept it real with them, telling them straight up, "Of course, I've been peeping the TikToks, and y'all are killing it." They've been posting on TikTok, doing their thing, and really thriving. Speaking from my own experience, having been on TikTok for a minute and pushing out content consistently, I can tell they're doing something right. They were truly nailing it. So I had to let them know. I think the TikToks you all are putting out are sharp, real smart. I kept the conversation flowing, dropping them another message, keeping my texts brief and to the point. I hit them with a, "How's that working out for you?" Just to keep the dialogue moving smoothly. Okay, so I gave their ego a bit of a boost, showed them some love. Made it clear that I'm in the loop with what they're up to. The response I got? "Yeah, we kicked off these TikToks not too long ago, and it's wild. Customers are really starting to recognize our brand because of them." So I'm thinking, that's incredible, right? I mean, it's obvious they're making moves and it's paying off. So I'm keeping the vibe upbeat, lighthearted. I'm tossing a little praise their way, boosting their morale while laying down the groundwork. I'm striking a balance, keeping things professional, yet not too formal, and definitely not too laid back either. Just finding that sweet spot right in the middle. It's all about hitting that perfect equilibrium. So I threw in a ha 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 there, keeping things light, Remember, it's crucial to find your own voice in this. Keep in mind, we're on social media here, not drafting a formal email or anything. It's a different vibe, a different kind of energy. I can't help but chuckle when I think about those super formal, traditional corporate email threads. You know, they're just overflowing with that professional jargon. It's all about grasping the vibe of the platform you're on. So, in this case, we're navigating social media, and the key here is to be social, engage in a more laid-back, casual conversation. So, I keep the energy up, responding with, "That's amazing." TikTok has really opened doors, hasn't it? It's like a gold mine for new brands trying to get some exposure and reel in new customers. So I'm thinking, you all must be on a roll, pushing harder than ever lately. That's gotta feel good, right? So here's the play. I'm laying down a guess, kind of putting out some bait, trying to get him to open up, share a bit more, and let me in on whether they're really stepping up their game or what. And I'm working to get a clearer picture by tapping into his emotions. It might look like I'm focusing mainly on how he feels, but I'm also trying to suss out whether they're scaling up, growing more than they ever have before. And let's be clear, all of this is straight from the heart. It's all sincere. It's gotta come across as real, authentic. Otherwise, it just ain't gonna fly. So the prospect comes back at me with, yes, things are rolling smoothly, but we've still got a long way to go, a lot of space to grow. So I'm like, okay, cool, perfect. That's exactly what I needed to hear. Gives me just the right amount of wiggle room to work with. So I'm thinking, all right, I could respond with a cool, "That's amazing," or something like that, right? But I don't want to sound like a broken record repeating myself. One strategy I often employ is mirroring the language of the person I'm talking to, picking up on the words he or she uses. Given that I'm talking to a gentleman here, he mentioned a growth, so I'm going to bounce back that term to him, keep the conversation aligned. I hit him with, "What's the type of growth you had in mind?" But then, radio silence on his end, he doesn't respond. Regardless, I'm keeping my momentum, continuing to post content, and I'm about to walk you through the whole process of creating content. I've even laid some out right here for you to check out, because it's vital to keep your game strong on both fronts. While you're sliding into those DMs, sending out messages, you've got to also make sure you're putting content out there for them to see. So when they come across your posts, it strikes a chord and they think, oh, this is something worth paying attention to. They'll start connecting the dots thinking, oh, this is the same person who hit me up. And look at this content. They're really on their game, definitely know what they're talking about. It establishes you as an authority in their eyes. And this is when they might decide to hit you back, or at the very least, your message will stick in their mind because you've made an impression. Or when the time comes for me to circle back and follow up, that interaction is poised to be way more impactful because they've been seeing my content in the meantime. So I'm about to break down the steps for posting that kind of content, but I laid some out right here, just so you can see how crucial it really is to keep that content flowing. So I gave it a couple of days, then I hit them back up, keeping it super simple, just a question mark and an emoji. I'm talking minimal effort here. Finally, the prospect decides to respond. They hit me with, I think if we beef up our processes a bit, line things up just right, we could probably double our revenue. Hearing that, I'm thinking, wow, that's incredible. So I throw in, and you've got a solid strategy in place for that, right? But he comes back saying, not yet. We're swamped with Q4 planning at the moment. From this exchange, it's pretty clear to me that we've established a decent rapport from the jump. Now that we've shifted gears and the conversation is leaning more towards the sales side of things, I'm sensing a bit more resistance. That's to be expected. It just means I might need to be a bit more persistent with my follow-ups, right? But even then, I'm making sure to keep the vibe casual, not too pushy. And while I'm at it, I continue to give his ego a gentle nudge, right? But you can tell he's got this inkling, this sense of the direction we're heading. So I hit him with a, I feel you. I'm laying down some empathy, showing I understand. And once again, I'm mirroring his words, echoing back, Q4 is definitely a wild season for e-commerce, just to keep that connection strong. I'm putting my knowledge on display here, making it clear that I'm well versed in the field. Okay, then I go ahead and send another message. I'm seeing an opening and I'm taking my shot, right? And remember, You don't have to be overly subtle or dance around the topic. It's not about dragging out the conversation or staying in the friend zone forever. Now, what I'm aiming for is to seal the deal, secure that call. That's the main goal here. So I lay it out straight. Would love to check if me and my team could lend a hand, help you figure out a launch and growth strategy for those new products. I then follow up with our game plan, talking about how we've assisted other brands, similar to X in the industry, in pulling an additional $300K a month. And yes, we've actually accomplished this, so I'm speaking facts. Now, if you haven't had such an experience, that's totally cool, no worries at all. In reality, a lot of you probably haven't reached this milestone yet, right? And hey, when I was first starting out, I hadn't either. So, what you could do instead is frame it differently. You might say something like, with strategies that have been proven effective for wellness brands, or employing tactics that competitors like insert competitor's name are currently utilizing. It's all about finding the right angle to approach it from. So, essentially, you're not directly stating, I've assisted this particular brand. If you can truthfully claim that, by all means, go ahead. However, there are ways to navigate the conversation and still make a strong impact. You could discuss a competitor of theirs that's implementing these strategies or focus on highlighting the inherent value of the strategies themselves, emphasizing their effectiveness. After all, these strategies are highly regarded for a reason, right? Specifically, when we're talking about the wellness sector or any particular niche within it, keep this tactic in mind. You don't always have to follow my exact words, but here's a little addition I made at the end to consider. I know you're swamped right now, you just told me. So I promise, it'd be a swift 20-minute chat. This shows you're considerate of their time, while also keeping the conversation flowing. I penned down, so quick 20-minute, which might not be the pinnacle of grammatical perfection, but that's how it went down. No strings attached. You got any time to spare this week? Again, note that I'm not bombarding him with my calendar link right off the bat. I'm keeping it cool, just throwing a question out there, nothing too intense. This is a conversation, after all, meant to flow back and forth naturally. Now, he might not hit me back immediately, but that's not slowing my roll. I'm staying on top of my game, continuing to put out content consistently. I decided to circle back with the same follow-up after 2 days. Got to stay persistent, right? He finally responds, suggesting Friday. Now, I could have easily hit him with a sweet or something, but I chose to go with should be good. Keeping it simple. You cool if I shoot over my calendar link so you can lock in a time that suits you best? All right, there were a couple of routes I could have taken here. I might have said, cool, what's your email? And then smoothly sent over a Google Calendar invite. But I decided to play it a bit differently. I hit him with, can I drop you my calendar link? You can snag a slot that fits into your schedule. Keeping it all about making things easy for him, you know? So here's the play. I'm getting his green light first. This way, when I float my Calendly link his way, it's all smooth sailing. I've crafted a fresh event. You might want to label it a strategy session or something along those lines. We're talking about a solid 20 or 25 minutes. Nothing too hefty, but just enough time to dive deep and make things happen. So when I flick over that link, he's more likely to hit that book button. Why? Because he's already said yes. He's given the green light. It's like he's made a little commitment, right? So he drops ashore, and bam, I send the Calendly link straight his way. All right, so I've got this fresh event ready, and I hit him with, here it is. Check it out and snag a slot that fits into your schedule. Now, he hasn't booked yet, but no stress. I'm still on my grind, dropping content left and right. Fast forward 2 days, I circle back to him with a quick, hey, were you able to lock in a time that suits you? Keep it casual, but let's keep the ball rolling, you know? All right, things are still rolling, but he hasn't hit that book button yet. Meanwhile, I'm out here consistently dropping content, making sure my presence is felt. When I hit him up to check in, he comes back at me, straight up asking, hey, is this a sales call we're talking about here? You know, sometimes folks are just trying to get the lay of the land, see what's really good. I roll up and I'm like, listen, you're aiming for clarity, trying to shake off any confusion, right? Because this whole situation, it's got you questioning. Why are we even diving into this? You're looking for transparency. So here's the deal. The whole reason we dive deep into these sessions is that when the prospects catch wind of the strategies and processes we lay out, they start getting curious. They want to learn more about our moves in the wellness game, you feel me? And how we can be a game changer for them. Now, if that's what they're after, we size up the situation, see if we can really make a difference. But look, the main thing for us, it's all about aligning that diagnosis with the right strategies. You get me? So I break it down for him. I keep it real, but at the same time I'm laying out the truth like it's my strongest card, flexing with it a bit. I lay it out straight for him. Once they get a taste of our school, once they peep the strategies we're laying down, and they see our demeanor, our relentless drive, our sheer dedication to mastering this particular craft, they can't help but get curious. They're like, hold up, what's the move with y'all in this space? They start wondering, could you be the ones to help us out? And that's when we dive into the conversation about what we can bring to the table, right? So I'm saying, for sure, it could transition into a solid sale, no doubt. But at the same time, I'm seizing that moment to subtly show off, to really highlight the worth and significance of these sessions we offer. Once more, I'm emphasizing just how precious these goals are and laying down the reasons they need to lock in a session with us. But I always circle back, making it clear that the priority is pinpointing the right strategies. And after laying it all out, he's nodding along, and just like that, he's on board, ready to book. Looking forward to it, all right? So just to put it in perspective, that right there is a prime example of how a sales conversation goes down. And you can initiate these kinds of dialogues, make it a regular thing. Of course, each conversation is going to have its own vibe, its own flow, and that's why I'm laying out something of real substance for you. I'm serving up concrete, hands-on examples and conversations instead of handing you some generic script that's not really going to hit the mark for anybody. I'm breaking it down for you, being real about our approach. We're fully tuning in, grasping their current situation, and gathering insights on what destination they're aiming for, what goals they're trying to hit. In this particular scenario, the dude was on a mission to roll out a whole lineup of new products, aiming high to double up on his revenue. So I did my homework, got the lowdown on their current state of affairs. He shared they were holding it down, things were cool, but he was clear there was ample space to level up, to really expand. He was on the hunt for ways to broaden his horizons, expressed a keen interest in incorporating a few more products into the mix. All right, cool. That's vital info for me. Moving on to step 3, I uncovered that with these new additions to his product line, his eyes were set on a big goal, doubling his revenue. And I also got a read on his situation, understood that he's swamped, he's got a lot on his plate. So he's not really in a position to pour the necessary time into strategizing for growth and figuring out the launch plans for these new ventures, you know? So catching that vibe, seeing the opening, I made my move, slid into the pitch. And I did it slick, tailored it just right for him, you know? I brought up the launch, talked about how we can strategize for growth, really laid it out in a way that would resonate with his situation. Why did I take that angle? Because he had brought it up himself. It's crucial. It's key to make sure you're customizing and shaping your approach to fit the person you're in conversation with, right? So there you have it. That's the rundown on approaching folks on LinkedIn. You know, I was really considering diving into content cultivation in this session. But if I'm being straight with you, I think it's wiser to let this whole approaching aspect just simmer a bit, give it some space to really resonate and settle in your mind. So I've decided, let's tackle content cultivation in a separate lecture, give it the spotlight it deserves. I'm going to wrap this session up as its own thing, and I'll catch you on the flip side in the next lecture. That's where we'll dive deep into content cultivation, explore ways to craft content that not only establishes our authority, but also speaks volumes on our behalf. We're talking about reaching hundreds of prospects, engaging in the kind of conversations I just walked you through, so that when it's time for follow-ups, for continuing those dialogues, our messages hit just right, land with impact. And you know what? As we're deep in these conversations, there's a higher chance they'll sign up for the course because they're seeing your posts pop up on their LinkedIn feed day in and day out. It's that powerful combo of reaching out to them directly, engaging in real talk, and staying visible with your content, keeping their attention, that really sets the stage and makes them more open to jumping on board with what you're offering. So here's the game plan. Kick things off by connecting with them. Hit them with a thoughtful note that catches their attention. Make your move, approach them smoothly on LinkedIn. All the while, you're flooding their feed with top-notch content straight from you. And when it comes down to the real talk, we keep it genuine. Make it feel like they're just chatting with a friend. That right there, that's the strategy that's going to guide them straight to your course, get you a whole lot of meetings booked, and here's the kicker. It's all on the house, free of charge. All right, we're keeping our pockets intact, not a dime spent. And still, we're racking up meetings and signing on clients like it's nothing. So, without holding back any longer, let's dive straight into the next lecture. Let's get it.